of what you're looking at. For tonight's assignment, here's what you're going to do, because we have about 10 minutes left. Whatever we don't finish in the warm-up, I need you to go ahead and finish that. So you're going to finish the warm-up. I would go back, because I did not check off your book work from last night. If there's anything on last night's assignment that you didn't understand, but today brings it a little bit of clarity, you should go back and fix that homework assignment. So I want you to go ahead, go back to last night's book work, take another look at it. Lastly, you need to study your identities using the flashcards. That's what you're doing today. What's up, Jacob? I do. Yeah, you can pass them around. If you want one, you can have one. Okay, so if you take a look at number 1, the first step in doing these problems is to carefully choose an identity that relates what you know to what you don't. As I walked around the room and helped you folks out, those of you that were meeting with some initial success related cotangent and secant together. So you wrote 1 plus tangent squared theta equals secant squared theta to start off with. And what you've come to understand is that cotangent is just the reciprocal of tangent, while cosine and secant are reciprocals of one another. So what we have here is sort of like this identity that's inside the identity. So what I can do is I can fill in for what I know now and solve for what I don't. That's step 2. So I'm going to take 1 plus, and then tangent squared theta is just the reciprocal of cotan theta. So this is going to be 1 over 15 squared. If you square 1/15, that is 1 over 225. I'm still on a quest to solve for secant. So if I add 1 plus 1 over 225, more or less what I get for secant squared theta is 226 over 225. To get secant by itself, you do have to square root both sides. So secant theta equals the square root of 226 over 15. That's what secant is. But then we had to go ahead and take just a moment to find cosine. We weren't asked to find secant, we were asked to find cosine. So I have a question for you, my period 7 very smart trigonometry students. My question is this. I needed to find cosine, but I now have secant. So what do I have to do with my answer? Flip it. Very good. So if you flip the secant of theta, you will get the cosine. So our cosine value is actually going to be square root of, trying to do too many things at one time. I mean, here you go, honey. You have, for the cosine of theta, 15 over the square root of 226. So that gets you 226 over 226 to rationalize your denominator. Final answer, 15 root 226 over 226. What's up? Extra copies are in the back, yeah. You can help yourself. Okay. For number 2, we have the sine of theta 7/9 and the tangent of theta. I saw people approaching this problem in 2 ways. What do you think, Roya? Class is almost over. Hey, Roya, what identity did you start with on number 2? Okay, well, now's your chance. So I need an identity that relates sine and tangent. Pick an identity, any identity. Well, let's examine that. So right now you're asking me, can you use tan theta equals sine theta over cosine theta? And if I plug in sine theta right now, I have 7/9 over cosine theta equals tan theta. Well, is this enough to tell you tan theta? No. Now, what you could do, Roya, since you're given sine, you could figure out cosine. Do you know what identity we have that relates sine and cosine? It's the same one we did in our notes on Friday. Read it to me. Yeah, so what you could do is just take your sine squared theta, solve for cosine, and then once you find cosine, Roya, do you see what you would do with it? Yeah, just plug it in right here, and then you get your tan. So your sine squared theta would be 7/9 squared plus cosine squared theta equals 1. And then you get 49 over 81 plus cosine squared theta. If you subtract 49 over 81 from 1, as far as cosine squared theta is concerned, you're going to get 32 over 81. Square root both sides. So for cosine theta, we have basically 4 root 2 over 9. So to finish this one up, if we said that tan theta is basically just sine over cosine, well, here's my cosine. So I could take this 4 root 2 over 9 and shove it in where I was missing cosine from before. You see that? So now I'm going to take this piece of the problem and I'm going to write it over here. So I have tan theta. We had 7/9 on the top. And now I know what cosine is. It's 4 root 2 over 9. And these over 9s kind of undo each other. So more or less what we have is 7 over 4 root 2. And then I can't have the square root of 2 on the bottom. So you end up with 7 root 2 over 8 once you're all done. It is. And then number 3. Jake, did you get number 3? Ooh, you're real close. If you use your cofunctions identity, as it turns out, the secant of theta, if that equals 3, we know that the secant of theta is equal to the cosecant of 90 minus theta based on our cofunctions identity. So if they're then asking us for this, it's just 3, yeah. So that's our answer. Yeah. Some of them are easier than others, so you can't go in thinking, oh man, I'm not going to be able to do any of these, because some of them, they're just not that bad. Others, you're like, oh no. So, to be clear about what your assignment is for tonight, you do have a little bit of book work. I want you to try it. You can add it right onto the assignment from last night. I do want you to take another look at last night's assignment, maybe fix it up. Do it if you didn't do it. Take another look at it, study your identities, and yeah, like I said, try the new book work for tonight. We're going to do more of this stuff again tomorrow. I'm checking it tomorrow. Okay? All right. That is our lesson for today. We'll do more tomorrow.